Hey, everybody. So if you have been hanging out with us for the last couple seasons of the podcast, you probably remember us mentioning Flaututi in our past episodes. Our friend Molly Sharp, who incidentally was also a guest in season 1, started Flaututi to share her awesome duet arrangements of standard viola rep, which are great for teaching, and it has now grown into a wide-ranging catalog of one-of-a-kind resources for violists and beyond. Steph, do you remember when we played one of the duets from a holiday bundle together?
Yes, it's one of my most cherished holiday memories.
Aww.
But actually, one of my favorites is something that all string instrumentalists would love. It's called Making Double Stops Ring, a guided exploration of just intonation. And Molly actually shared the viola version with us last year, and I am not exaggerating when I say that it completely changed the way I think about intonation. No one has ever explained it to me like this before. I think that we all realize on some level that a B in all situations is not the same, but why?
Yeah. Have you ever had that classic argument in a string quartet setting when you're trying to tune a chord and maybe we're playing that B and we're being told, no, it needs to go lower. No, it needs to go higher. It needs to go here. Wouldn't it be amazing to save all those hours for our string quartet students with no debate? We just know where it's supposed to go. Everyone agrees because there's only one way.
Right. You can just gift them copies of this book.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing personal. Just here's a book about intonation. Well, Molly has made it easy for all of us to play in tune. So whether you play viola, violin, cello, or bass, there's a version for you. You can find this pragmatic book, viola duet arrangements of classic viola repertoire, and so much more at vlatutti.com under Marketplace, or look in this episode's show notes.
Welcome to the Viola-centric podcast. We are two curious violists finding inspiration through authentic and challenging conversations in the professional music world. I'm Liz.
And I'm Steph. Let's jump in the deep end.
Okay, we told you we were going to watch this show. This is the second installment of the recap that nobody asked for.
Yes. We've gotten so much feedback.
All of you, I know you can't wait to hear us talk about episode 2. So here we are, Mozart in the Jungle.
Yeah.
Season 1, episode 2.
Yeah. Great. Here we are.
What'd you think, Steph?
Well, it was more of the same. But I am reframing it in my brain as not like a tried and true representation of what we do, but like a tongue-in-cheek satire of what we do.
Yes.
And that's a good reframe, I think.
I really embraced the satire concept this episode, and if you do that, it does provide an extra layer of humor.
It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a really good reframe for our recaps.
So we pick up with Hailey after the audition, and she's being rushed into a meeting by Rodrigo, dragged into a meeting with the executive director, the marketing director. They're having a meeting about the direction of the orchestra and promotion and et cetera, et cetera. And so he's like, yeah, this is Hailey. She's the newest member of our oboe section.
Because the executive director and the marketing director are integral parts of that hiring process.
Right, exactly.
Obviously.
But they say, why? Did one of our old oboists die? No, but this is hilarious because then the next line, they actually got something right. They're like, oh, well, all of our win-win section's been here for over 2 years, so you can't can anybody without approval from the union.
Exactly.
So finally, at least it's the second episode and we have mention of the union. and that these people actually have protection.
So there is a union. There is a CBA. It seems that we didn't learn that last episode, but now we know there's a CBA.
Oh my God, I felt for poor Hailey.
I know.
She's like a deer in the headlights. She walks into this meeting with all of the executives who I don't think I've ever been in a room one-on-one with an orchestra like executive director and the managing director, and you just don't meet these people on a regular basis. So
no, they have nothing to do with like the ins and outs of the orchestra personnel. That is the most crazy thing I ever heard. But the marketing portion of this was pretty ridiculous. Like, there was Hear the Hair, which Rodrigo was like, absolutely not. We're never using this as a marketing platform. Just like a photo of him with like his hair flying up really crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you felt about hashtag Symphony, S-I-N.
I mean, sex sells.
I mean, we are very salacious people.
We are.
Actually, yeah, that's true.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, all of this, like his insistence that she should be hired because she plays with blood, and then the marketing director is like, "Ooh, I like that blood. That's what matters." Like,
no, it's hilarious. And then so Rodrigo decides, he says, he has this moment of inspiration. Let's change the first concert to Mahler 8, which requires 5 oboes.
Yep. Yeah, thank God. There's a piece of music out there with 5 oboes in it so that Hailey can get her shot.
So oboist, you have to let us know. Are there other pieces that require 5 oboes? Or
and do oboists just know offhand that Mahler 8 has 5 oboes? Is this like common knowledge?
Right.
Because, Hailey comes out, she does her happy dance, she's like so excited from that meeting, and she gets home, and her roommate, she tells her about it, and she's like, I'm 5th chair, and her roommate is like, oh my God, you're freaking 5th chair. I was like, is this a thing to get excited about when usually there are only 2 of you? They're like dancing up and down, screaming.
We have a deep bench of oboes at the New York Symphony.
I laughed so hard. I just was like, okay, yes, 5th chair. Woohoo!
Yeah. Oh my God. And her roommate, when she comes home, she has to pry her away from tattooing someone in her living room.
Oh God, that's right.
Poor, I don't know what this guy's name was. It's like Mike? Your friend Mike?
Yeah, Mike.
Oh.
It's a little stomach turny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not advisable.
Not advisable.
Not advisable.
So then we're taken to a sexy bedtime scene with Cynthia and I keep forgetting I keep wanting to call him Terrence McEwick. Thomas, thank you. I'm going to remember this eventually. Thomas the conductor.
The experienced conductor.
The what do they call him? Like music director emeritus or something.
Emeritus.
And he has a recording on of the Tchaikovsky that he played with Josh Bell. And he's mimicking his own conducting in the mirror in his underwear while Cynthia's in her sexy lingerie.
Do conductors do this?
There's no way.
I mean, I'm sure they conduct with recordings, right?
They have to practice somehow, but like in that context.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. But you know what I was thinking about this scene? That it felt very much like if you watched any other like streaming TV drama and it's like they're both lawyers or they're both doctors or whatever. Like this could be any sexy bedtime scene between a couple.
They're talking shop.
Yeah, they like mainstreamized the conversation to be like, yeah, this is obviously how orchestral musicians talk about their work.
Mm-hmm.
So funny.
We do talk shop though, just like anybody else.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Might be a little different than the way it's portrayed, but...
But Cynthia's very supportive.
Yeah. Cynthia's a cool broad.
Yeah.
I dig her.
She's a veteran cellist. She knows the ropes. And she gives him a pep talk and she's like, you're not dead. You still have something to offer.
Yeah.
And I love that for him. he doesn't have to feel like he's being replaced by Rodrigo.
That's true.
He has a different skill set.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, he just represents a different voice.
Yeah. Oh, and this next... Okay, so then we flash to Hailey, who's clearly neurotic about her upcoming debut on Mahler 8.
On her fifth oboe seat. How many notes does fifth oboe play in Mahler anyway?
I don't know, but she's playing them over and over and over. And I'm like, sister, is this the only line that you have to play in the entire thing? She's literally playing it like a broken record over and over.
Probably. It's the fifth part. It's probably like the end of the fourth movement and the finale when all of the instruments play. She's just got to play it over and over and over again. Although, I identify with this.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. I've definitely had periods of time where I just play something over and over again, neurotically, thinking it's going to work.
Right.
When we both know that's not
the way the brain works.
No. So
Molly Gebrian would be horrified.
Molly Gebrian would be horrified by that. We should give her a shout.
She's like, you need to take a break, Hailey.
Practice it backwards, for God's sake.
I know, that's your move. I just learned that this weekend.
I'm obsessed with practicing
that you
backwards.
are all about practice. You know what? I had a student do that in a lesson this week.
Yes.
I was like, practice this little lick backwards, and now go forwards, and now go backwards, and now go backwards
again.
Getting
better?
It was getting better.
Yeah. It's just amazing to me that the brain has those pathways. That it doesn't matter. The brain doesn't read linearly. I love that so much. It's just, yeah.
Okay.
It can read in any direction. So the other ones you can do, and actually, I mean, all respect to Molly. We love, love, love you. This is a Susanna Klein thing I learned. Backwards, every other note you can do, you could skip notes and then you could play the other ones that you didn't play. Any fast passages, and there's you can identify the biggest intervals that you have to play the biggest ones, and then you can play the smallest ones. You just play it all these different ways, and your brain processes the information in different orders. And then when you play it linearly, you're better at it.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing.
That's really... Well, Hailey could have benefited from that because she wasted a lot of time playing the same way.
I'm sorry we didn't get to you in time.
Oh, man. So she even takes it out on the fire escape.
Yes.
And gets
that guy
yelled at by her neighbor.
Listen, I mean, there's some instruments I think I could handle that. I don't know if I could handle oboe over and
Especially
over again.
the same thing over and over again. No. I would think that I was going crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a very special circle of hell. So next scene, we follow Rodrigo as he goes on an odyssey of sorts, where he looks like an unhoused person.
Yeah, but can I tell you something?
Yes.
You already know what I'm going to say.
I know what you're going to say.
I literally wrote 3 hearts about this scene because I'm obsessed with Rodrigo and his day. I'm obsessed. Now I'm in love with Rodrigo, and he can do no wrong. That's
okay.
I'm kidding. He still has lots of problematic behaviors, but it was a window into his he's creative and he likes to immerse himself in the world, and he gets inspiration from all these things, and he's wandering around and he's smoking weed, and I mean he's very hot.
Maybe he's a method actor. Do we know anything about Mahler? What did Mahler do? He was composing this symphony. Maybe he's putting himself in Mahler's shoes.
Maybe.
Mahler went to the park and, played some old-timey chess with people, and then he, had a libation or two. Then he rode his bike.
Symphony.
He rode his bike to the symphony. Yeah, so this is what he does to get himself prepared.
Yes.
Everybody's got their,
I liked it.
Procedure.
It was like he took himself out on an artist date.
He totally did. Yes. This is Rodrigo's artist date.
Yes, it was his artist date. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. Isn't it great? Yeah, no, he won me over with that. I mean, I love that actor so much, so now there's a scene that I can be okay, all right, you're all right.
Okay.
Can be into you now.
Great.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
back at the apartment.
He's practicing still. I wrote this question. How many hours a day is it safe to practice the oboe?
That's a good question. Obviously,
Remember,
they have
just like things to your brain, right? Like the pressure when you breathe, like they're the most likely to have like aneurysms and stuff. I'm like, is this like dangerous for her health?
Oh my God, we need to know. We need to ask our oboist friends.
Noelle, if
about
you're listening, please, we'll actually shout you out in this. We're gonna find a way to get this answer.
How long is it safe to practice oboe?
Before your brain literally blows up.
Explodes.
That can happen.
That's my God.
Yeah.
So they're back at the apartment. She's practicing, and her roommate is getting understandably upset about it.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey,
Yep.
Rain Man."
Yeah.
Oh, that was so inappropriate, but hilarious.
I still felt her. I still was like, you know what? I get this. Like that is that relentless pressure. We do have that kind of relentless pressure on ourselves to like get it perfect, you know?
Okay.
And
all right.
she's like in that zone in her head. Like the concept of stopping is like, no, I couldn't possibly stop. Like it's to the extreme, which as we've identified is the case with everything in this show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's interesting. I really was like, oh my God, yeah, like just you have to stop. Go hang out with your sexy guy, which is what a roommate makes her do, right?
Yes. And I wrote, what did I write? I wrote, Lizzie does, her roommate does what any good friend should do when you're over practicing. She makes her leave the house to go, let off some steam. So she literally takes Hailey's phone and dials Alex the dancer, who, as you will remember, left his scarf with her. So she has to return the scarf.
Yes, of course. It's got to go back to his house at 11 o'clock at night or whatever time it is.
It's like midnight. But I think this was the best thing for her at this time.
Yes. And also, it was the best scene. I have, like, basically no notes about the scene between her and Alex because I like those scenes. They're kind of cute.
Yeah, so there's that awkward, okay, so she returns the scarf. Obviously, it's not just to return the scarf because it's midnight. And any reasonable person would do that kind of task during the day if there wasn't some kind of expectation.
Mm-hmm. Or hope.
So, yes, they hang out together. They have a good time. We meet his roommate, who's also a dancer. But, yeah.
A female dancer.
Yeah, a female dancer.
Lives with girls.
Yes.
Which I guess makes sense since he's a dancer. I don't know. Was that supposed to be like a...
I don't know. Maybe, yeah, just those are the people that you know, so you need to split a rent.
Yeah, that energy exchange was interesting. Yeah, I did. And of course, like, the best way to get her to loosen up was to cajole her into staying for a beer.
Yeah.
But I feel like she had fun.
Oh, yeah. I don't think she regrets it.
No. Well, she might. We haven't gotten to the next day. We haven't gotten to her actual New York Symphony experience.
Being freelance musicians means gigging in lots of different places with very unpredictable lighting situations.
Oh my gosh, yes. How many times have you shown up to a church gig and wondered if you'll actually be able to see the music by showtime?
Many times. Or it's a cocktail hour in a restaurant with ambient mood lighting at best.
We've all been there and have used those alien-looking bendy lights that only light up the top of the page, so that by the bottom of the music, you're sometimes just guessing, or maybe we'll call it being creative. We didn't know it at the time, but the Aria lights could have saved us lots of eye strain and unplanned improvisation.
Yes, and with a rechargeable battery that lasts 8 hours, you'll never have to carry backup AA's in your case. You'll just charge it up at home and take the Aria light to your gig. The battery will even hold a charge for years between uses, not that you would go that long.
Thank you so much to Aria Lights for their support this season. Please check them out at arialights.com. Located in a historic mansion in Tacoma Park, Maryland, You might get the impression that the team at Potter Violins are as formal as the breathtaking building that they work in. But when you go inside, instead you'll find the most relatable, skilled, and friendly staff.
Yes, the people at Potter's are what really make it a special place. I love visiting because I know that whoever I work with is not going to make me feel like I'm crazy or just being picky. They're kind of like your favorite bartender. They're great listeners who give you what you need without judgment.
Yes, their technicians are not only super talented, creative, and resourceful, they take the time to collaborate with you so that the process of getting your instrument at its best really feels like a partnership.
So if you're in the area, definitely stop by and introduce yourself to Chris, Rob, Kimberly, Derek, Jim, Melissa, and the whole team, or visit potterviolins.com to find what you need online.
It's so fitting then that their shop is in this beautiful old house because the staff at Potter's really makes it feel like home.
Season 3 is sponsored by the Arc Rest. You know, Liz and I are always being asked about our Arc Rests, and we're happy to share how much we love them. The freedom of movement has been life-changing for me.
Me too. And I love how using the Arc Rest allows my instrument to vibrate fully. And depending on how my body's feeling, I can also change the placement of the bass.
Although Aaron and Tigran started the company in their home workshop, they've come a long way, continuing to innovate by experimenting with harder and softer woods, and even new materials like fiberglass.
There are basses for violin, viola, and even for small fractional instruments. And there are foam pads of different thicknesses, so you can find one that fits your body or instrument perfectly.
And the guys over at ArcRest are sharing a special discount code for our listeners. Use the code VIOLAcentric for 10% off anything on their site.
Yes, check out their offerings at thearcrest.com. That's TheArcrest.com. And don't forget to use the code VIOLAcentric.
So, the next scene, we see Thomas pulling up in his driver pulls up to the New York Symphony because they're having a rehearsal. This is before the rehearsal begins, and there's a big crowd gathered, and they all have pictures, and they're hoping to see Rodrigo. And Thomas pulls up. He gets out of the car, and there's a collective, like,
not you.
You.
Where's the other guy?
I was hoping this was.
Where's the other maestro? Also, can we talk about like the fact that there would be a crowd of paparazzi and fans outside of the concert hall to talk to a conductor? I don't know though. Does this happen like with some of the more celebrity conductors? Does Dudamel have an entourage?
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't think so either. It's not my inclination to think that that's the case, but I guess you never know.
Who would?
MTT?
Trying to think of somebody, like he's the most like celebrity.
Maybe over in Europe.
Maybe. Yeah, we are kind of less evolved in that way here.
Yeah, culturally, nobody really cares about us like that.
No. After the show, sometimes people want to see a soloist, so you like hang out by the stage door and you wait for them to come out.
Right.
And sometimes it's a lot of people if it's a very famous person. But
that's true.
Going into rehearsal?
Not necessarily.
Also, how did all these people find out when the rehearsal was?
Yeah. Yes. Or do they just wait out there all day waiting for him to show up on his bike, which he does. Shows up on his bike.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Thomas in this scene because Thomas is trying to like, he's trying to establish a rapport with Rodrigo and like maybe be his mentor, and Rodrigo's receptive to it, but then he's just kind of like, all right, I gotta go, and like leaves Thomas with all of the paparazzi and the fans.
Yeah, poor Thomas.
Yeah.
He's lost his assistant.
Yeah, that's
his
right.
His assistant's now the assistant for Rodrigo.
Who's obsessed with him in a very unhealthy way still. And then errand boy came. Is that what he was calling him when he walked backstage?
Which guy was this?
He's like the concert master, it turns out. But he comes back. He shows up backstage and like hands. He's like talking to Rodrigo, and Rodrigo's like calling him something. I couldn't tell what he was calling him. Did you catch this?
Oh no, I didn't.
And then there was the nuts guy.
That was the
with the nuts, and Rodrigo chose Bonanza as the nuts that he wanted to eat, as opposed to whatever the other flavor was.
Oh,
There's a whole exchange of like diva-ness. Oh, I know. Okay, so the first guy comes up, who turns out to be the concertmaster, is saying like, the orchestra's assembling. I'll have everybody on stage at 5 minutes. I'm like, that's not your job.
Oh, I thought that was the stage director.
I thought so too, but then he's sitting. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy sitting in the first.
Okay, we'll have to clear that up the next time. But
I know I need to check back in. I swear I was watching and I was like, wait, I don't understand, because I also swear he was calling him errand boy. I don't know why. Anyway,
I thought it was Warren Boyd. Warren.
Is that his name?
Warren Boyd or something like that.
I mean, that makes a lot more sense
than him calling him errand boy. Yeah, it's another level of disrespect.
Oh, yes. God. All right, this is then we go into like the most ridiculous orchestral dynamics that you would ever imagine. Yeah. Although, didn't you feel a little like when Cynthia found Hailey and they were walking in together, and Cynthia's like, "Don't worry, I'll show you where to go," this and that. Like, she's being really nice. I was like, I feel like I've been on both sides of that conversation. Like, I've been the kid who shows up that's like, and somebody's really nice and helps me out, and I've also been somebody who's like, "Oh, you're here, awesome. Here's where we do this," and da 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 da. Like, it was nice.
Yeah, I appreciated that as someone who's been to my first gig many times and been like, oh, where do I go? It's nice to have a friendly face. Yeah, friendly face.
Yep.
Yeah, she was really good.
And then they ran into Union Bob.
Union Bob. We all know a Union Bob, don't we?
Yeah. Union Bob doing a lot of complaining, especially about bathroom breaks.
Yes, and that is true to form.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do really want our bathroom breaks on time.
Yeah. We start to get very antsy if we don't get our
As a coffee drinker, I have to say, need to be on time with the potty breaks.
That's right.
But it's so hilarious. He says, we need to have an orchestra meeting because the maestro, Hailey's standing right there. The maestro has said we're going to have he had open auditions over the weekend. And he wants to replace the whole orchestra. Poor Union Bob.
I didn't quite catch all that, but that sounds like a conversation that might actually happen backstage. I think I've heard people say those kinds of things before. Yeah.
There's a backstage vibe that is in this show that's very interesting.
Yeah, there's drugs just being handed out, beta blockers,
drugs,
whatever you need,
any kind of drug you need.
The percussionist, the timpanist has it for you.
You need some uppers, you got that. You need some downers. Yeah.
Once again, real world guys. Yeah, it's just like a frenzy back there. Whatever, you're just doing drugs left and right
before rehearsal.
Okay.
So they walk. So she has this spicy interaction with Betty, the principal oboe player.
Betty is not having it.
Betty is suffering from scarcity complex. Don't spit your coffee.
Betty does not have a sense of abundance in her life.
No, she does not. So Hailey does what it's your first time subbing with an orchestra. You want to go and introduce yourself to the principal player, the other section players. So she goes up to Betty and she's like, "Hi, I'm Hailey. I'm sitting 5th chair." And Betty's like, "Oh," she accuses Hailey of sleeping with Rodrigo to get that spot. She's like, "I know you. You're the one that slept with the conductor and beat out thousands of more qualified oboists for this position." And Hailey's like, "What did I just walk into?"
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh my gosh. I felt for her.
Yeah.
I cringed internally.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know what's really sad about that is that, like, I have definitely heard people in our business accuse other people of getting where they are because of how they behaved with people.
But not to their face.
No. No, but again, if we play the whole satire gamut, then it makes sense that they would make it extra dramatic. But that's a thing that people make assumptions about all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But it sure made for an awkward exchange when somehow the fifth oboe is sitting right next to the principal.
I noticed that too. I was like, since when? So they all are sitting in their respective chairs in orchestra, and we all who play in orchestra know that you sit in order. Like first chair and then second oboe / English horn, whatever. You sit in order. The fifth chair, which they're beating us over the head with in this episode, is never going to sit next to the principal player.
No.
I don't know. Do they have assistant oboe?
I think
assistant principal oboe?
I think she'd be called assistant.
If that was what her role was, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
so
fifth would be all the way down. She would not have to sit next to Betty and endure that kind of abuse during rehearsal.
Yeah. Betty
if she was really fifth.
A bee in her bonnet for sure.
Oh, yeah.
She is like strung up as tight as, I don't know, something that's very tight.
Yeah. This is jumping ahead, but this is within the Betty context. When she's like, "You're using that reed."
I wrote, Betty is trying to nag her.
Yeah. Yes, 100%. And it worked.
It worked.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she
Betty
got in her head.
Betty's a true bee.
But before all of that starts, everyone in rehearsal stands for
Rodrigo to come in.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we stand up for the conductor all the time.
It's very military.
What a hilarious concept, though, that people outside of our world probably think that's the case because we stand up in concerts for him.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Everybody's
a very outsider
well, what you do in rehearsals?
impression. We don't do that in rehearsals, just in the concert.
Yeah, you guys, it's more, we're like taking our bow. We're just not actually bowing. That's
right.
The whole point. But I liked Igor the parrot.
Oh, yeah. So obviously Rodrigo has a shtick, and he has a parrot that flies in to perch next to his podium.
Yep.
And then so he asks the orchestra to tune, and of course Betty gets all ready to tune, which is her job. And he's like, no, I want the fifth chair oboe to tune the orchestra. My stomach literally dropped for Hailey.
So stupid.
I was so scandalized.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right?
That's a ridiculous thing. Yes, that's ridiculous.
It's like a literal slap in the face.
Yeah. And Betty's already mad.
So, of course, she has to, like, take Hailey down a peg, and that's why she makes the reed comment.
That's right.
That's like so you're wearing that?
Yeah.
Equivalent in the orchestra world. Oh, you're using
Lord.
that reed?
So insane. Yeah, I have lots of notes about this. Oh, I did mention in my notes that Rodrigo apparently played violin, was in the woodwind section, and he played the harp, all professionally at some point in his life. Mm-hmm. So he really knows his stuff. He's like very much an expert.
I mean, we've all had those conductors who like, feel like, oh, I know how to. I played all these instruments. You're like, sure you did.
You know what they say
about conductors?
No.
About shoe sizes?
I forget the first half of this. It's like a something of many, a master of none.
Oh, yes. Oh, I can't think of it. Someone's screaming it right now.
Yes.
At us.
Add us. You can add us for that one.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Jack of all trades, a master of none. Yeah, that's what went through my head. Except I didn't know the words.
Yeah.
I don't think the technique of this orchestra is reflective of the prestige of the group that it receives in New York City.
No.
There's some weak playing going on, and the orchestra is way too tiny to be playing Mahler 8. But, again, I'll suspend my disbelief.
And so he, of course, singles out the oboe section to play their little soli, and Hailey craps all over it.
Yeah, that sure didn't go well. She actually yells out an expletive, which up until last weekend, I don't know if I'd ever had that experience in orchestra rehearsal for me. Steph and I got to hear someone drop the F-bomb in rehearsal.
Oh, it was an uncomfortable moment.
It's very spicy.
It was a very spicy moment, uncensored moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, the group was felt scandalized.
Yeah, much probably like everybody did in that scene. And also the very like suggestive gesture that Betty had when she was putting her oboe away. Did you catch that?
Oh, yes, I did.
It was just one more dig at Hailey as she left.
Yeah.
She's like, get this out of here. Get all of this out of here.
Oh.
Because she would need an escort, obviously, to get off the stage.
Yeah, she needs security to come over and escort her out. There's some orchestra secrets that they can't they can't get let out into the outside world. Yeah, that was so painful.
Totally.
She was so sweaty.
So sweaty.
Her hands were like so sweaty. I've been there.
Yeah.
I felt for her so hard. So, yeah, because Mahler 8 is not going to work, they decide Rodrigo on a dime is like, print out 82 copies of the Berlioz Hungarian March.
Print it out. And then, oh, that's right. That was the whole setup. Like, it doesn't have fifth oboe. And Hailey's like, I know.
Uh-huh.
Did she really know that?
I don't know.
I don't think everybody knows their rep. I don't know. That's really funny, though. All of this was very funny. But because he had to scrap that, then Thomas was very happy. Thomas was gloating.
Yeah, Thomas
to Bernadette
was
Peters. Yeah.
Gloating.
Yeah, he was like having a field day with that. And...
yeah. And then poor Hailey. We follow her out onto the steps of whatever hall it is they're rehearsing. And she is packing up her oboe without swabbing anything out.
Just outside.
She's just putting away with all its juices intact.
All its juices. And that's where we leave things.
We wonder if her career is over.
I know. That didn't go very well. That's
spoiler alert, there's like 8 more episodes, so it's not. Or it'd be very short season indeed.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, but entertaining. I laughed a lot.
Yeah.
Do a lot of laughing.
I really do think that it's like, it's kind of made, other people can enjoy it for what it is, but it's really just made for us to laugh at.
It might be, yeah. It might genuinely be just made for us to laugh at. But with enough like mainstreamishness that other people would be entertained.
Right. But we get all the inside jokes.
Right.
Yeah, like there's some kids shows that are like that. Like kids are obviously entertained by some of these shows, but their parents are the ones that are getting all the inside jokes.
Right.
And all the references to when they were growing up.
It's so funny. Well, we'll be back in a couple weeks with episode 3.
Yes. So
stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Thank you so much for listening today. And thanks also to our season sponsors, Arkrest, Potter Violins, and Aria Lights.
Another thanks to Alto Clef Gifts, where you can purchase Viola-centric shirts and mugs and a variety of other fun items featuring our beloved Alto Clef.
If you loved today's episode, consider writing us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And if you want the chance to hang with us and have access to behind-the-scenes audio and video recordings, check out our new Patreon. The Viola-centric theme music was written and produced by JP Wogeman and is performed by Steph and myself.
Thanks again for listening. Let's talk soon.